Hello, everybody. It's Jake Senzio, host of the Jake and Gino podcast, with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, chef, father, six best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Wearing pink today because I knew you were wearing blue, my friend. How you doing?
Always making it happen, big man. Today's guest has gone from a U.S. Olympic soccer player to VP of one of the largest mortgage companies in America. He has mastered the art of growth mindset and is now using his experience to help others turn setbacks into wins. So without further ado, Brian Covey, welcome to the show.
Dude, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, Olympic athlete to the business world. Love to hear about that transition, going from athlete to businessman here.
Well, it starts back. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and I can remember back, both of my parents worked. And for me, like living on the soccer field was really the only path, because my older brother, 5 years older than me, he's playing, he's older. Well, where do you go? Like at that point, if anybody has older siblings, you go where your brother goes, right? You just show up. You got to figure things out. And through a lot of those seasons, man, I had coaches, mentors, people that poured into my life. And I started to find some success there, started to learn life lessons that every day I kind of look back to and I remember. But I remember back to one story in particular. I was 5 years old playing in our church league. And those of you that follow soccer, you'll probably remember the name Kyle Rote Jr. I don't know if that rings a bell. Mm-hmm. Played with Pele, like one of the best American footballers of the time. Well, he happened to have his kids at the same church as us. And I'm taking a corner kick and I shoot the ball totally unintentionally. It goes in the goal. I'm so freaking happy. I run off the field. Like the game's over. Like we're leaving. I'm out of here. I'm gone. I'll never forget that moment, is like scoring goals. And then now like making money, making big moves, making things happen in life. Like who doesn't love to score? Who doesn't love to win? And so that competitive drive for me started at an early age. I quickly realized, by the way, after scoring the goal, there was still more of the game to be played. No one told me about that.
Kept your shirt on at least, right?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't get to pull a Ronaldo, but no one told us. We hadn't scored all year, guys, and we finally score. And that excitement was awesome for me. So fast forward, in middle school, I got a chance to go train with the U.S. Olympic team, the U.S. national team. I was 14, 15 years old as I went through that. Got to travel over to Europe. Super cool stuff. But what I found through that is some of the lessons of getting cut from the team right before Japan, going back and making the team again on the U20 and U23 team, playing in college and getting to play some professional. Is here's what I noticed is all around that whole thing of where my story is probably like a lot of yours is like, I tried some things. It didn't always work out. Yeah, I made this team, but I got cut from that team. But I stayed very focused. And my mom gave me this positive kind of growth mindset from an early age of like, she was just always positive about everything. She was just happy. Like, let's look at the glass as half full. And I've taken that, and what my dad gave me is a significant drive, like putting me in the gym on the weekends, taking me out to play, just doing things that no one else would be willing to do, running at 5 a.m. Like all of that has just basically created the person that I am today. And so I attribute that to kind of how I grew up. And my parents gave me something that I think it lives on through me. So I get to honor them through that.
How did you get into the business world? What was your first job?
Oh yeah. So this is pretty exciting. So after you go play soccer, any athletes out there, anybody that I didn't really have much of an opportunity to work outside of like going through high school and all that, I'm traveling, playing soccer. So college was really fun because you're playing, you're going to school, you're doing things and all that's happening. Promised my parents I would graduate. So the way it worked for us is my senior year, I get drafted, I get to go play, and I hadn't finished school. I dropped out going into the spring semester. So all the courses. After I played a couple seasons, I come back, promised my parents, right, that I would graduate, finish that. Well, I start to interview. I looked at all the cool dads, right? And all the people out there like driving the nice car, they dress in the suits, they look awesome. They're in financial services. They're doing all these cool things. I'm like, yeah, I think I could do that. That'd be cool. I'll go do that. Nobody would hire me. My soccer resume was a soccer resume. Like literally that's all I had on my resume. Mm-hmm. Like graduating from college was not a ticket, as you know, like no one would hire because my experience was limited. So I decided to go to a job fair one day, and I'll never forget, I'm looking around, I'm meeting people, and I meet this group, and they were a consumer finance company. They started telling me, we hire athletes, we pay commission, we're going to train you, we're going to teach you. Athletes here make great money. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like this sounds great, up my alley. Little did I know I would eventually work in a store that was like 45, 50 minutes away from my house. Leaving Memphis, it was all the way down into Mississippi. I worked in a strip center next to a Chinese food place and a pizza buffet place. Amazing food choices. What it taught me, outside of all the things that were not great, is I dressed up, I showed up, and I learned how to make cold calls. I learned how to sell. I learned how to understand credit, income, assets, put together finance deals, whether it was auto, credit cards, mortgage, We did all the, you know, those furniture financing you see, they're like 0 payments, 0%. And that was us. Like that was us. Like that was me, the guy that would actually run your credit, tell the store that you're approved. But I tell that story because, man, I think I made 40 grand, right? Like with all the benefits. But I got with a group that taught me skills and an actual transferable skill set that later would help me as I continued on. And then about a year and a half later, moved full-time into mortgage. 21 years later, loving it, still learning. I consider myself a student of the game. You know, still to this day, I am learning and growing every day.
So you ate Mushu pork for a year and a half, and now you're at loanDepot.
Dude, it's the General Tazao, man. Come on,
dude. I was thinking, I'm talking about pizza. He's hating on the pizza. I'm a big pizza guy. I used to be a pizza guy. How has the mortgage industry changed over these last 21 years? There has to be some massive seismic shifts in the industry.
Yeah, massive. So I am also grateful for you guys were in the business. You probably experienced the 07, 08, like absolute reset crash. You watch what happened through that. There were some lessons in that. There were lessons prior. And as you fast forward about 2015, we started to see some changes that we're still seeing now play out. A couple of the biggest ones I would say is consumers no longer go into a traditional mortgage company, walk into their bank, walk into their credit union like they used to. That's how I got my first mortgage in 2001 is you just walk into a bank, right? Like that's how you do it. It's not how consumers decide on that today. So showing up on social media.
I'm old school, man. That's still how I do it.
Hey,
I guess I'm messing up.
So you would be in the absolute minority for that. If you look at, and here's how
I don't like technology either, though. So that's me.
So here's how you would know, like Jake, this goes through is Rocket Mortgage. Rocket wasn't even on the radar 10 years ago, guys. So think about this company comes out. Now they're almost a 30-year-old company, by the way. So this has been a recent shift. And now you look at, they are the number one lender across the United States. Number one, they have no local presence. They advertise, as we all know, them about everywhere. You know, you see them on commercials, you see them in the NFL, Super Bowl. They've realized to get consumers' attention looks differently. And I think the same is happening in real estate is people choose real estate agents differently than they used to. So number one, I would say consumers' attention, they start online. One of our mottos is we want consumers to start online and we're going to help them finish local, which is why our model is built for a lot of the customer acquisition strategy is online, but we have local professionals. So they know where your kids go to school, they know the churches, they know the restaurants, they know it all. So I'd say that's number one. Number two that I've seen is the best loan officer and the best product rate programs, all that kind of stuff no longer wins. What I mean by that is if you think you're going to win consumers and they're going to come back to you because you're just the smartest person or you think you have the best rate, what happens is if you can't figure out how to provide an experience and the emotional attachment and then stay in touch with them afterwards using tools like social, using things that are like, they're not the generic like CRM that people default to that is probably not working well for them. If you can't build your personal brand and stay in touch with people, you're never going to really grow and scale your business like we're seeing today. So the last
probably
one,
get a new mortgage out of somebody every 2 or 3 years, right? They're probably buying a house every 5 or 6, and then they may refi in the middle of it. So
if you do it right, yes.
Yeah.
And so here, I'll give you a great example of one of our acquisition strategies is, right? We go online. If you go on and you look at like lowermybills.com, bankrate.com, all that stuff, right? Like we'll have pop-ups that'll follow you around. The first customer lead is truly just that. The typical cycle time of those could be 6 months, right? Before they actually are able to qualify, find a home, do something. But the real pros have figured out that customer that comes in originally as a lead, they have 4, 5, 6, 7 other people, right? Listing agent, selling agent. Maybe they've got a homeowner's insurance agent. Who's the title company? Who else do they know looking to buy a refi? And you're right. Think about this dip in rates that we just had. Well, what we are seeing and what we're hearing at least is going to happen is rates have gone up significantly. We've seen that in the last few months compared to what people thought in the 2s. But what's going to happen when rates do dip again, which we believe that there will be another dip, right? What's going to happen now? Cash out refinances are at an all-time high. You got the Fed predicting rates could go up anywhere around 25 to 50 basis points. What's going to happen with HELOCs? So I think the person that can educate, inform, and really be an advisor and a guide, yes, they will be able to help someone through life cycles. And the mortgage has changed. It's no longer like, I'm going to get a 30-year mortgage. I'm going to keep it for 30 years and just hang on. It's just not what's happening. So that's a few ways. I can give you a couple of, but those are a few ways today that game has changed. I think it's going to continue to evolve, that brand's going to matter, customer acquisition is going to matter, and then how you show up absolutely matters.
Before we get into the book, I got another question. I know Jake loves to talk about customer experience and customer journeys. What have you guys done to strengthen that presence and that brand and that customer experience?
Yes, I love this question. it starts before you actually have a conversation with a customer. That's what we believe. Customer goes online, they have a conversation with someone. Before you even get a chance to talk to them, how are they viewing you? How do you show up? What's your landing page? What's your website look like? If they go on social media, do they find videos? They find things about you. They go, cool, I like this person. They're hanging out with their kids. They got their dog. They got customer testimonials, not boring ones, but like real people on there. Customers are making all types of judgments about you before they get to you. So I think the experience starts before the first conversation, number one. Second one is how we've incorporated things is just like all of us, like you can get my attention to watch a movie, but if you can't keep my attention through a video or as you're communicating, like people lose that opportunity. And so what we've done is we've created milestones through the process that instead of just sending a generic email, we're sending a video that's customized for you on your journey to let you know where you are, what's next, what you can expect to happen through that. I think that's changed a lot. Anybody could really incorporate it. It's got to be disciplined. So again, the timelines are important, but send a video. Don't just send a generic message. And then I think we miss these opportunities of there's touch points through the mortgage process all the way up to closing, right? And people forget like, oh, we got to clear to close. Their loan's ready to fund. They're still nervous. They don't understand what you and I, what we do every day.
Want to know what's going on.
They don't know. What a great time to ease the emotions, the tension, and congratulate them, walk them through. Here's what's going to happen after your loan actually funds. Here's what's going to happen in the servicing area of your loan. Like here's where your payments will be made. There are opportunities for the next 90 days after closing that you can continue to reach out. Well, guess what? Once they move into the home, we have this slogan and we believe in this, is home means everything, right? You buy a home, you don't want a mortgage. If you had cash, you'd paid cash. But the reality is most people need a mortgage still. Mm-hmm. So we want to follow up with them and be partners with them. And then now we're starting to really diversify out. And who do you need to know, right? Do you need someone that's going to follow up in other areas to help you, right? Do you need someone to come in and do some renovations? Do you need someone to come in and help you with a project you want to do?
That's beautiful.
Like, you got it. Yeah, you got it. You got to
Especially
think
for
of
first timers, right? That's huge.
Huge. So that's where we're seeing the game change. Several other tactics to it, but at a high level, that's what's happening.
So I challenge everyone out there who just listened to what Brian talked about, go back and listen to it again, because put this into the context of your business, because we have a property management company. So there's different journeys, right? Joey Coleman wrote an amazing book, Never Lose a Customer in 30 Days. He's got those 8 steps from to assess to advocate, and look at your business through that lens and see where you can make those additional touch points. And whether it's an email, whether it's a text, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a video, people need to be touched certain different ways, whether it's snail mail, sending out a thank you card, a gift basket for the property management company, toilet during COVID, toilet paper where people can't get toilet paper, whatever that touch point looks like. And that's really important. And that's something where you're working, on the business, not just in it, but on it, a high level overview. So go back and listen to what Brian said and try to put it into the context of your business, because it's truly, truly important. Because if you want to stand out now, great, being on social media, that's just one component. You can look good, but you really have to make it an emotional experience. And one example, your wording. We don't call our tenants, we call them residents. We don't call them units. We call them apartment homes. So all of these different touch points are really, really important. I know Jake's going to dive into in the second part of the
Are we ready
podcast.
to talk about Chick-fil-A yet or no?
You got to give me a couple of minutes. Let's get through the book. I want to know why Brian wrote the book and the inspiration.
Well, let me know. I want to talk about Chick-fil-A. Can I talk about Chick-fil-A?
Go ahead. Let Chick-fil-A rip, bro. Go ahead.
Well, so I just want to prove your point. Okay. I'm here for support material for you, Gino. Okay. Listen, Popeyes has a nice chicken sandwich. All right. It's flaky. It's got a lot of nice, crisp.
Define nice or good, because it's not really healthy, but it may look nice. It may taste good, but it's not good. So, okay, I just want to put that out.
Dude, you can talk about whatever you want. Any other vice. You can talk about bourbon or whatever the hell someone's into. Okay. There's a nice bourbon. Okay. Whatever. Look, Popeyes has a nice chicken sandwich. It tastes good. Look, and here's the deal. There's different, franchises out there. Some are better than others, but if you get Popeyes right, it's nice. It's good. It's tasty. Okay. Everyone knows I'm a huge Chick-fil-A advocate. All I'm saying is, if you look at the customer experience, if you look at the customer journey, there's a reason why cars are, out on Kingston Pike at Knoxville at the different locations during lunch, trying to get into Chick-fil-A, and Popeyes has 2 or 3 customers. Okay. Both have very good chicken sandwiches. The difference is in the experience, and that's Chick-fil-A proves it to prove your point right now, Gino. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay.
That's all. I
I'm saying about Chick-fil-A
cannot go through a podcast without talking about Chick-fil-A, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because I agree with you. So we're Where were we, Brian? Talking about the book.
That's great. We could have a whole episode on Chick-fil-A, man. I tell you what, we are there. My wife has the app, a lot of points. They do some cool things, guys. I think people miss the lessons.
Hey,
right
Popeyes
there.
is not out in the damn parking lot with the iPads and the
Heaters,
the tents and all this, and it ain't
not even on the
happening.
level. Not even on the same level.
This is the important thing. The thing that impresses me the absolute most about Chick-fil-A is that they can get people who are making $10 an hour show up as if they're making $100 an hour. I was in the restaurant business. It was very difficult to motivate and to inspire people who are 16 years old to go out there and with a smile and your pleasure and actually enjoy their job. I'm just saying that is an amazing feat in and of itself. And to make a profit on selling a product that costs $4 or $5, your margins are so small. It's just an amazing testament. So everyone, take a deep dive, whether you like Chick-fil-A or you don't. If you're in business or you're an entrepreneur, look at their model and study what they do. Go in there and take a look exactly and rip it down, because they do an amazing job. They have core values. Absolutely. They have a mission statement. Absolutely. They have their cadence of accountability. Absolutely. They treat their customers well. As far as their operators, they're probably one of the best as far as treating their operators. As far as growth goes, they never outgrew their infrastructure, which is really good. They're not racing
Impressive.
out.
Yeah.
They're debt. They never put on debt. And then what happened was they continued to grow, and they were just really smart about it. And I think they really focused on what their values were and what they wanted to exude. I read the book Small Giants by Bo Burlingham, and I thought that was an amazing book, because I don't want to be the next Facebook. I want to have an intimate group of students at Jake and Gino who are crushing it, who are becoming multifamily entrepreneurs, and I want to create impact. I don't need to have thousands and thousands and thousands of students. That's what Jake and Gino wants. And I think Chick-fil-A was sort of in the same model. Then they figured it out and they were able to scale up, and maybe their mission statement or their core values
Did it over
changed.
a long time though, too, Gino. Wasn't
Absolute long time. But that's the amazing thing. So I don't, Jake's got me fired up about Chick-fil-A, about a $5 sandwich and talking about, but it's the truth. And that's
like
an amazing.
$8 now, but anyways.
I haven't gone. I got to stay away from the milkshake. So, Brian, the book. I mean, why did you write the book? What made you inspired you to write it?
Oh man. So the journey started with the podcast actually. And 2 years ago, right before everything shut down, I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And it was really an effort of connecting great people, right? Like I wanted to give back to the community. I was mainly on LinkedIn doing some Instagram. Like I know some cool people. They have some great life lessons. They have things they can teach. What if I came on and had conversations with them? So then off of that, I realized not everybody listens to podcasts. I don't understand. I love podcasts. I love to listen. I can go on a walk. I can be on a plane, wherever. And we realized there were 10 of the conversations in that first season that people really resonated with, they connected with. But what if we were able to take those audios and condense them down, tell a little about their story so you could connect with their story. You go, you know what? I like him. I like her. I've been through that too. Like I've filed bankruptcy. I've lost everything. I had, cancer in my family take hold of my life and all. So we told the story of what they had overcome to make them relatable and all. And then it was almost like a little mini TED Talk. We condensed it down so you could read one chapter or you could read them all, and they all told you their lessons. And then we decided at the end, this was kind of a cool ad. I shared what my biggest takeaway was that I actually implemented. No fluff, no, wow, this was great. I love that lesson. No. What did I do to implement it? So you'll go through this and you'll get all these perspectives of people that are successful, but you don't know their backstory. To get access to most of these guys, it's really expensive. It'd be hard to get their time, especially now that things have opened back up. So I thought, what if I could provide that out there? And it's turned into a really cool gift. And then collaborating with other people, I think is one of the best ways for any of us to learn, grow, and to make an impact. Is then it wasn't just about Brian, right? Now it's about all this collective community. And we were able to push the messages out to say, this is the chapter you need. This is a chapter you need right now in your season of life. So that's where it came from. It's exceeded my expectations. I didn't write a book to, obviously make money or like become some famous author, but the impact it's had, pretty awesome.
Do you mind if I share a couple of stories that I enjoy? Then I'll ask you which one is yours. So the first thing, everybody, I love that platinum rule. It's treat others as they want to be treated, not the golden rule. Because I don't know how. I mean, it's completely different. I'm going to treat Jake as he wants. That is, I want to be treated because we're all two different people. How do you find out? You listen, baby. The SPY technique,
Oh,
seller
shit.
property. You're there.
Now
You
we're
have
now it's getting hard here.
the wall's coming down, Jake. You got to get that wall down. Jake's the snowplower. I'm the more the massager kind. So I'm out there listening. And as you get older, you have more wisdom. You're always out there as a leader. You speak last. That's the first thing. You always listen to everybody else talking. You get that input, and you really take a deep dive. You want to use Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, trying to figure out how you can connect with somebody. It's really, really important as a leader, and even as an investor, multifamily investor. Why is that person selling the property? It's not always because of the highest price. Maybe he's burned out. Maybe they have another opportunity. Whatever that is, you need to listen. I love Brittany's story, though, the super fan, creating the super fans. And really, the purpose of a business, everybody, write this down, it's to create a customer who creates customers. And that's truly important. Once you rip that down and you distill it, that's what Chick-fil-A is doing. We just got more than the other 3 or 4 people who listen to this podcast. We're going to be customers of Chick-fil-A.
Raving fan, guilty.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You're an advocate, and that's what it's all about. And Brittany's story. Can you share Brittany's story? And then I want to ask you what your favorite story in the book is.
Yeah, so I'll tell the story. We actually met. She was speaking at a Housing Wire event, and so that's for like the mortgage industry and all that. We're there. I'm watching her speak, and I'm like, I was pulled in. Like she just had story after story. She's landing these messages, and I'm going, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, the customer experience. Yeah, I want to do more of that. Like I want to learn this. And so she's just crushing it, right? As she's sharing, comes to the back of the room and I'm standing back there just listening. We start talking for a minute and this was crazy. So Jake, you'll get this. She tells me she lives in Franklin, Tennessee. Well, hold on, that's where I live. So then we start talking about kids, where they go to school, all this stuff. We make an immediate connection outside of what it was. And I share this story with all of you because you don't know who that one person is, that one person that you actually connect with that can teach you something or become a friend, even for that, build a relationship with. And so Brittany's story, she was on Shark Tank. I don't want to tell you all of it, but I will just tell you, she's had unique experiences that she will share. And you want to read some of the things and just follow her because she's got so many cool things. Go follow her. She is now back, interesting enough, in the mortgage space. And you know, what I loved about her was she was so clear about what the customer experience is and how to improve it, no matter what industry, where you are, what you want to do. And then the fact that she went on the Shark Tank and had that experience to bring that in, you go, okay, for probably a lot of us listening and the entrepreneurs are like, at some point I'd like to pitch my product, service, or something to a bigger audience. She'll be able to give you some of that. That was, you know, you took one of my favorites. Brittany, it was crazy. It was one of the few, by the way, early on in the podcast that we had done live. I think we did 3 or 4 in person. In Nashville before everything shut down. Then I went, full remote like everybody. We just adapted.
And another book I want to recommend to everybody is called Built to Sell. I think John Warlock's the author, and it'll help you understand as an entrepreneur. I don't want to sell my company, but to be able to structure it that way and to be able to have that 5-step process that you have in there will allow you to continue to redevelop. And I know Jake's been working on hours. He's doing a fantastic job.
Help you develop your company. Like I think you're absolutely right. You don't need to go into this thinking that you're going to sell, but you're creating a business that is, in a position to sell potentially, which is going to make it more of a well-oiled machine. You're just, it's literally just making your business better. So I don't think people need to get like a misconception about it.
No, yeah. The quality of your life is dependent upon the quality of the options that you have.
Yeah.
And if you're able to say, I want to sell this company, great. If you want to say, hey, I want to grow it, great. Say, hey, I want to give it to my children, great. If I want to give it to my employees, that's great. But being able to build it out and work on that and actually work on customer service, because not many people talk about customer service. It's not a very sexy thing. It's like, Jake, buy right, manage right, and finance right. Not many people teach you how to manage a property. We love it. That's what we thrive on. It's sexy to buy it, and it's sexy to finance it, and it's sexy to sell it. But the hard work, where the rubber meets the road,
no one likes
is the
pushing the boulder
part.
up the hill. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That is. Any other stories that you'd like to share from the book before you go to the short answer section?
And the one I would tell you that had the most impact on my life, that I connected up with Dave Meltzer. And if you don't know Dave, he was one of the guys at Lee Steinberg. Jerry Maguire was filmed after their sports entertainment firm. And Dave was one of the main guys there. I connected up with him and he gave me a shot, I say, as he was one of those guys that I had connected up with, but we really didn't know each other. We ended up doing the podcast together and it was an immediate connection. Well, fast forward to this last weekend, we're in Atlanta. We're both speaking at the same conference together. I get to hang out with him, meet him, and everything there. And what I love about Dave is he's the same on stage, off stage. one-on-one with a group, all of that. His big message is all around real gratitude and being happy. And in seasons of our life, we all go through like shit hits the fan, things don't work out, things are just not going your way. And Dave actually helped me reframe some things that I'd been taught, and how to truly be grateful in moments, and how to create gratitude in my life versus being responsive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can
that's
you give
a
us an
gift.
example?
Yeah. So we think about every day, just a very simple one. I started changing my language around. I have to go take my kids to this. I have to go to this meeting over here. I have to go work out. And the language is very simple. I get to go do this.
Dude, I got some chills right now because you're spot on.
Don't miss that. For everybody
What's the
listening.
opposite, right?
And so and here's what people, I'm just gonna tell you, I believe this because I've done it, and it's
You're
worked for me.
alive. You get to do it. You're alive. This is an
Yeah,
opportunity. You get to
freaking
do it.
So that one
The opposite to
shift.
me is death.
So think about this. I'm a dad, right? I got 3 kids. For anybody that has kids out there, I started to share that with my kids is, hey, well, no. We don't have to go do that. You don't have to go. You get to go do that, right? And I went to Guatemala several years ago, and my kids know some of that journey and that story and all that. I'm like, there's kids that have to go get water because they have no water in their house. You don't have to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
You get to do it. And so we have to kind of pull that back. Well, imagine you could rewire your brain.
Dude, that
which I
needs to be
believe you can.
applied to everybody in the United States right now. It
So-
really does. I'm sorry to interrupt here, but it's just like that's super impactful. And when you first said about the gratitude, we hear a lot about gratitude these days. And I was like, okay, gratitude, cool. It's like a cliche thing, but no, that is actually very impactful what you're saying, because so many people take for granted everything and all the abundance that we have in this country, and they just don't connect with it. They don't get it. That's a great perspective. Gino, you were going to say something?
Do you guys mind if I share something real quick about another book that
Yeah.
I read? I think it's,
Yeah, of course.
I think it's very, very impactful. We just had the Jake and Gino boot camp this weekend. It was 150 students there. And my wife and I did a presentation on energy levels, setting proper goals, values, and read the book Gap in the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. If you're listening, I'm trying to get you on the podcast, Dr. Hardy. I'm not gonna continue to take no for an answer.
If you're trying, he ain't listening.
I'm going to get you sooner or later. But everyone out there really should read that book because of what Brian just said. There's a need and a want. You need to do it. You're in the gap. If you want to do it, very big difference. And when you're in the gap, you're always looking ahead. I want to buy this first deal. Well, when you're in the gain, you're always looking behind and measuring success from where you came from. And it's a real big mind shift, and you're grateful. In the gap, well, Jake just closed the 50 unit. When am I going to get mine? That's being in the gap, comparing yourself to others. And being in the gain is always thinking about that gratitude and being grateful.
The downfall of social media right now.
Yeah. It's a
so many people
one.
are on there just like, and it's making them miserable because they see, a Photoshop picture that somebody put up of this, that, and the other thing, and it's basically eating them from the inside. I mean, we got to get away from this.
You
folks.
can
We really
use
do.
that. We use that to motivate ourselves. We use that to learn. But at the same time, if you're needing something, it's a bad place to
It
be.
can
in life
mess with
if you're
people though
wanting
too. We've
something.
seen it, especially with the
Yes.
younger guys on the team, and with the get their itis and some of this stuff. It can be a real problem.
And Brian, anything to add before we go to the short answer break?
So I love what you shared there. There was a shift I made a few years ago that a coach of mine, and I fell into that exact trap as I was comparing myself to everybody. I was chasing the title, chasing the money, chasing the house, chasing this, chasing that. And when you can take ownership and actually focus on that growth mindset of your journey, my journey is different than your journey, different than anyone else's journey out there. It's my journey. When I defined what success looked like for me and my family and got clear on that, then I own my journey. No one else can tell me what success looks like. And it started to be cool. I don't mind compliments, but also the other side of it, like I also don't take people that say, oh, you're not this, you're not that. I don't live in that comparison world like I had once done. It will eat you apart. Language matters, how you talk to yourself, how you actually hold yourself accountable. So I would just say you're on to something, because comparison sucks, man. Like you're never going to be the smartest, the best looking, the richest person in the room. If you're in the right freaking rooms, you're there to learn from people. And so your journey is your journey. Define it, own it, and live it, because you can inspire other people to go live their life and define success for them. That's the life worth living.
We all have different chemical, physical makeups, whatever you want to say. And if you're putting somebody on a pedestal that you see online or something like this, it's okay to have mentors and basically strive to have similarities to other folks. But we're all different. And if you're trying to be identical to what someone else is, you're not living a life of your full potential, because maybe you can do something better or different than them. You don't need to mimic exactly what someone else is doing. So it's actually, in my opinion, holding you back from your truest greatness of living a life that is true to yourself and independent of influence from others, where you can rise to the occasion and maybe create something totally unique versus trying to mimic someone else and live their life. So just let that sink in for a minute. I think there's something there. But anyways, gang, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsor.
Are you looking for ways to improve your life?
Here at Jake and Gino, our mission is to empower students through financial education and the vehicle of multifamily investing.
Yes, Jake. We agree that a person with financial intelligence can change the world for the better.
We've created our proprietary 3-step framework, buy right, manage right, and finance right, that we teach to our community. This framework, along with education, our one-on-one mentorship, on-site boot camps, and the amazing community, has propelled our students to massive success.
We've all been there. We've had so many students that have been able to shift their mindset, overcome limiting beliefs, and set a clear path to achieve their goals. Whether you're currently fixing and flipping, wholesaling, or buying single-family rentals, and you know that multifamily investing is the right vehicle for you, I encourage you to visit jakeandgino.com/apply to schedule your complimentary consultation with our team. And I want to let you know this isn't a high-pressure sales call. It's really just a discovery call to get to know each other better and see if we're a good fit for working together. And if for any reason we're not a good fit, our team has tons of resources we will share with you to help you along your journey.
If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels, go to jakeandgino.com/apply and schedule your call now.
All right, we are back. I want to dive into a little bit of your habits and, Olympic athlete, successful business person. Is there any habit or ritual that you do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis that has really made a positive impact in your life?
For me, the center is working out. I think that is when I've realized when I'm in alignment or out of alignment, like getting a good sweat, mental, physical, all the things that happen there. I can't stress it enough, right? And we hear it. And you're probably, some people are listening going, yeah, workout. Well, let me get a little more granular with it. I've chosen workouts that are similar to like CrossFit, or they're going to test me mentally and physically.
Dude, I'm not trying to be mean about this, but you're too old to be doing that shit, dude. Come on. I can see. I think you're about my age, and that's tough, right? You're going to injure yourself, man. Don't go hurt yourself now.
So here's the thing. I am wired to be tested. And I think as human beings, if you go back to early centuries, you had to hunt for your food. You had to go out and do things. So we were created that way. I want to be in the workout that sucks, that everybody around, you want to quit and you don't. That's what defines character. So I love those workouts, and people are like, yeah, like, why are you doing that? You're 44 years old. I'm like, here's the thing. I got addicted to this when I was 35. I'd finished doing like Insanity. I'm running, doing all these things. I'm like, I remember a buddy of mine invites me to a Saturday CrossFit class. Well, let me just tell you how horrible that was. Like, legitimately couldn't do any of the movements. Okay, this is Brian, like former professional soccer player here. Couldn't do the movements. Well, what do you think that triggered for me? Like, that's not how it's going to go down. Mm-hmm. That's not how this movie plays out. So I committed. I'm like, I like challenges. Look, so it doesn't have to be CrossFit for you. It could be Pilates over here, and you're not flexible at all. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to do something. The lesson in this for all of you listening is you need to do things that challenge you. Find what that is. It could be running, swimming. Jesse Itzler spoke last weekend. He's talking about the 100-mile runs he did. I'm not a runner. Like, you go find things that'll challenge you. If you're not being challenged, you're not growing. And I've found there is a direct correlation for me, and I believe most people will relate to this. If I can go push myself there outside of the office, I'm going to be a better dad. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be more excited about it. My kids are watching me. I'm going to be a better business leader. So I love that. I'm also someone that considers myself a student of the game. Every day I'm trying to do something. It can be small choices. I'm not trying to rock the world and hit the grand slam every day. Base hits every day start to stack up. So some things for me is I like to wake up before my kids go to school. I like to be here, right? Like that's my jam. I want to see my kids before they go. So family is important to me. And I like to read a little bit every day. That's something that's helped me through. But here's where I found the biggest growth in my life is cut through all the habits and all that. Cause I think you need to create your habits. You can steal my habits. I could tell you all the things I do. Watch what I post on social. I document what I do more than I don't try to post all the awesome, like everything's wonderful. I'm gonna document all kind of stuff. follow and make the habits your own. Create your own life the way you want to, because my priorities may not be your priorities. But what I did differently is hire a coach. Hire a freaking coach. Pay money, invest money. If you're wondering how much, look, I'll just cut to the chase. I think, it's my experience, it needs to be around 10% of your income. You need to invest in yourself. You need to figure out how to get to that level. Look, if you're only, let's say you're making $40,000 a year, invest $4,000 in yourself. Probably sounds like you can't do it. Reality is you can figure it out. You need to invest in yourself. I've yet to find a time that I invested in my own self or my brand or in growth that I didn't get a great return on that investment. And so I would go down that path for you. And I will tell you the one thing I do like to do as well on the relaxing side, because I'm a pretty driven guy. Like my mind's going, my body's going, I'm doing all that, is I tore my bicep last year, went through that lovely surgery, got healed. I'm back full now, but I started to walk again, slow down the pace. And a lot of those walks would be with my wife. We'd take our dog, we'd go walk, we would talk, no phone, no electronics, detach from the world. For those of you that are on social and you feel like, man, I'm just going, walking outside is one of the best activities that we did. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. And that conversation.
Get in the woods too. If you can get in the woods, it takes it up a level. Yeah.
Jake,
So-
three quick things. Number one, he's got a little Goggins in him. I can see that little Goggins-esque in him. He wants the pain. Number two, I totally agree. Your income can only grow to the extent that you do. Let me say that again, everybody. Your income can only grow to the extent that you do. If you're making $40,000 a year and you can't grow, you're going to be stuck there. How do I know? I had to invest more than 10% of my income early on. And then as you continue to grow, you learn new skill sets. And number three, I can almost guarantee he's not going to Popeye's chicken and eating, Jake. I'm just saying.
No.
Dude, what's wrong with little Popeyes, man? You need protein in your life.
You know,
right?
as you
Listen,
get,
I saw, look, I was going from like 125 proteins a day. I'm like at 200 now. And I'm seeing a really nice benefit in just my overall, lean body mass from ramping up that protein and replacing some of those, those other macros with the protein. So you know what? You need some carbs in there too. And there's a room for some Popeyes in there, Gino. You stop being a hater, you totalitarian crazy. All right. Popeyes is okay if especially if you're exercising. Hey, listen, I was taking some notes. I want you to articulate the benefits of the struggle more if possible, because I'm seeing, some things here. And it could even be, I wrote down stabilize the nervous system. You may be the kind of person that is not content with just sitting on your hands and not doing it. You literally may be to your own, mental health. So I think there's could be some happiness in there. I think there could be some, physical and emotional benefits, but there seems to be this constant need to strive and grow. Can you just kind of break down the benefits of that a little bit more? Because I think I'm there. I'm getting close, but I want a greater understanding if possible.
Yeah. So here's what I know is going back to my days of playing sports, the games that you won were fun, right? Like everybody wants to celebrate. Everybody wants to win the championship. You all want to be part of that. The sacrifice and the struggle that people didn't see of waking up at 5 a.m. Every time that I have put myself in a spot that I knew most people would not be willing to do what I'm doing, waking up at 5 a.m. to go run before school. People weren't willing to eat healthy. They weren't willing to go do extra training. They were willing to show up to practice and do what was asked of them, what was required. I believe what's required of us is you can have success and failure commingled together, because the best lessons are the ones, cool, we won over here, but then we lost over here. Why did we lose? What was the lesson? What am I being taught in that? Without struggle, there's no progress in this. And so we coined this term, empowered by failure. And it's something that I didn't realize until I went back and pulled out some of my childhood, my college, some of my first real business career is, man, the struggle is where you learn. I don't want to live in that struggle.
Does it taste better too? Does the victory taste sweeter with the struggle? Because I think the answer is yes, right? Like, because you really earned it, right?
1,000%. So think about a life. And
It's
be
not just
honest
handed
about
to
it.
you. It's not just given like that. Yeah.
That's it. And I think people are like, it's not that I want to struggle, but it's the reality of I know what struggling does to me and what it creates, right? And I think of, if you're going to grow your muscles, what are you going to do? You're going to tear them down. You're going to lift weights. You're going to do strength training. You're going to tear them down. So putting yourself in situations that you're uncomfortable is going to accelerate your growth. And to truly be empowered by failure is to say, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm willing to do what other people are not willing to do. So this morning, I'll tell you real life story. I'm going through some suck right now in that I know I need to recalibrate my body. I'm coming back off the injury last year. And so the guy speaking this last weekend is talking about the benefits of cold therapy, right? Like ice baths, all these things. Well, our pool's not heated right now. It's 45 degrees. I tell my wife, I'm going to go out there. I went running this morning. I'm going to get in this. First day, yesterday, I didn't make it 10 seconds. Straight up. Jumped in, full cannonball, back out. My legs are numb. I couldn't really walk. Today, I got to 30 seconds. Tomorrow, I'm going to get to a minute. I'm going to work my way up. Why am I doing that? Right? Like, what in the world? You know what? The clarity I had leaving that water, knowing that I did something that most people aren't willing to do. Not even that, though. It's what I wasn't willing to do before.
What was the temperature?
45 degrees.
Bro.
Shit.
Yeah. And I will just say,
I might have to get out of the pool today.
cold as hell. I was numb. My legs were
Did you
numb.
ease into it or cannonball?
No, you
Nope,
can't.
jumped right in. So it's just one of those things in life. Look, if you're not testing yourself and going through this, I do think the struggle is what creates you to be stronger. And I know in my own life, I don't even have enough time to go through the amount of struggles that I've had, being cut, being fired from this job, being told you're not good enough over here, all those things. You got a choice, man. Like you can turn those struggles into something that's absolutely badass, or you can sit on the sideline and whine about it. I'm not here for that. Like, I don't want to be around people that want to whine about everything. Like, what did you learn? What are we going to do with that? And how are we going to get back in the game?
You get to do it.
That's right, man. We get to do that.
You're like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I took some more notes here.
Conversations
we're
with
rabbit
Covey.
trailing on this, but check this out. You can lose, but win. You might have, and I love, a real football, hut hike. So just hating a little bit, but you can lose the line of scrimmage during the game, right? You might have lost your wide receiver, battles, or whatever, but you may have won the game still. So you can go back and say, we're not going to do that again. We're going to get that much better. But think about the journey of a man. If you do not have struggle, or think about your kids for an example, you may be denying yourself struggle because you think it's going to be a better life or this, that, and the other thing, but you're literally not living a fulfilled life because you're not getting in the game. You're not stepping up to the plate. You're being meek. You're not willing to take that at bat because how the world may view you. But ultimately, you're not living a fulfilled life. Yeah. And think about your kids for an example. Gino and I were looking at these apartments for student housing, and they're like nicer than any home that I ever lived in. And I'm saying, what the hell? And this is not based on this conversation, but it's all coming full circle. I'm saying, what the hell is a parent doing to the child that they're putting the child in this type of environment with absolutely no hunger, no struggle? It's spoon fed, right? And I don't care how much money you have. I don't know how that's going to positively influence the child. And a 20-year-old, 19-year-old, I don't care. That's a child, especially in this day and age. How is that child going to learn to struggle, learn to claw, learn to get to the next level in their life if they're handed this, coming out of high school? No. Where's the growth? Where's the struggle in life? How is that person ever going to stand on their own 2 feet and create their own business and become an entrepreneur? So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just spitting, but I'm having fun with it. So
here's what I would add to that is try to find a man or woman that hasn't struggled in their life, significantly struggled multiple times. Try to find that person that's absolutely successful, living a fulfilled life today. When you find that person, introduce me to them.
Independently successful,
real.
Right?
Yeah. That is not how life is wired. That is not how God created us. That is not how the world works. Fighting against that is like fighting against gravity. You will not win that game. And
you need to be double back and checking on what you did right and wrong and making sure things are buttoned up. Yeah.
It's the battle-tested leadership that we talk about with our group. And what I share is the only way to raise your capacity.
You want to do some push-ups now? Are we at that point? Did we just become best friends?
Burpees, push-ups. So I will give you this one lesson that one of my coaches gave me a few years ago and it was all around increasing your capacity. And you can think about it like when I started doing the assault bike, doing all that stuff, I couldn't do half of what I can do now. You have to do it over and over to increase your capacity. Well, if you haven't struggled before, how do you know what your capacity is? Are you going to quit at the first time that there's adversity in your business? The deal doesn't go through. The appraisal comes in low. You got somebody that, is going to invest, but they don't invest.
That's the difference between the folks that win and lose, though. They quit too early on and they don't keep pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I look forward to those things because those are problems to be solved. That is an opportunity for people that have actually put in the work to win.
You get to lose a deal.
Right. How about that?
He's firing me up today, Gino. Fire me up. All right, we're gonna get you out of here soon. Any other book recommendations for the folks that have positively influenced your life?
One that was a real turning point for me was Extreme Ownership. Surprise.
Yeah.
Jocko and Leif. But I was in a season of my career and leadership that I was not taking ownership that the way I should, not for myself, for my team, for the things that weren't going well. Like I was not a great leader in that arena for them. And so that book hit me like a ton of bricks. So love that, highly recommend. Then I moved on to their next book was Dichotomy of Leadership, which was phenomenal. So I would recommend those as I look back, like what's made the biggest impact. I could go through, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all these cool books that like educated me. But as far as changing my mindset into what I believe and how I then was able to behave in alignment, Extreme Ownership was a game changer.
That's a good one. Best way for folks to work with your company, where they can find you, because I think that the way you're doing business can really benefit a lot of folks, especially with that customer journey.
I appreciate that. So easiest way is just go to briancovey.com, website there. I'm on Instagram. Somebody had taken my name. So it's briancovey.com, over there on Instagram, on LinkedIn and Facebook. Any of those, I would love, just hit me a DM, man. Drop me a message. This has made any difference in your life, inspired you, you're thinking about something. I love to go on the journey. And I think we're all built for community. So if there's anything I can do, or you just want to share your story, put it over there. I read them.
Tell us about the soccer. Come on. What you got?
I'm going to try to paint the picture here, because I got a little young 5-year-old Brian Covey with the corner kick, ripping it out. Hits the goal. He thinks he wins the game, but game's not over until the fat lady sings. Goes through high school and college playing soccer, and his resume is as thin as mine was. And he's going to go out and get a job, and he ends up working next to a Chinese restaurant, eating General Tao's and Mushu pork for the next couple of years, making 40 grand a year, and figuring out, what am I going to do here? And ends up working, getting in with loanDepot. But, the 2008 crash probably changed a lot of things for him as well, working through that journey. And it's really cool. I mean, talking about the customer experience, talking about the customer journey that you have with the company, and growing and pushing yourself to the limits, and not just, not just settling for something. And I love that, you have the option, you don't need to do it. You're wanting to do it. That whole idea, that whole mindset.
Get to do it.
Yeah. And you get to do it. And I think everyone go out there, pick up the book for those of you on YouTube. It's, Conversations with Covey. It's a great book. I enjoyed it tremendously. I love the stories in there, the personal stories in there. So I just want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us today, Brian.
Dude, guys, thanks for having me on here. Love what you're doing. And this was fun. You can tell I get excited and passionate about certain topics, that it is because I've been in that dark place and I've been at the low end of it, that I can see what's on the other side. I want more people to experience that.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
It's been our pleasure. So, Brian, thank you so much. Gino, great job as always. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Brian.